Hello and welcome students to our English class of Standard 11th. In this class we will be discussing about History of English Drama Part 2. In the previous class we have discussed about types of English drama. Let's know what is the history of drama. History of drama is divided into the periods, and the different periods are divided into different centuries. So first one is taken as medieval period. It is from 11th century to 15th century. It was during the reign of Henry VI. So this is the first period, and what type of plays were there, and all this is discussed one by one in the proceeding slides. So we will discuss each and every period separately in the coming slides. A short history of drama. Now the beginning of the drama in England is obscured, that is, it is not very well known, but still drama had its origin in folk theatre, that is, it belonged. A folk theatre is an art form which has a composition of music, dance, religion of that particular place, that is local culture. So it cannot be said that drama is just a part of literature, means it is only written. It has a medium of literature, means drama can be told in literature, but it multiple things have to come together along with words, like scenic effect has to come, music, then the acting of the actors, and also the organization of the producer. All these things when combined together, that is called as drama. And a dramatist who is should have players, a stage, and an audience. Everything should be there, then only it can be called as drama. So this is a basic introduction of what drama is. As we know that we have divided the drama into certain periods, but before that is medieval period 11th to 15th century, but before that it was ancient Greeks, those who were having amphitheaters, and the dramas were performed in those theaters, and those theaters were just as shown in the picture. They were open theaters, and a raised platform was there. The stepwise sitting arrangement was there, as you can see in the picture. And the Greeks had actually brought drama and the theater performance for the English. Now there were Roman theaters, ancient Roman theaters that were also called as Colosseum, and the theatrical events were performed and with huge spectacles, that is a large number of people, audience, they were sitting and dancing, fighting, or a person or an animal being killed on the stage. All these things were shown in this Roman theater. It is also called as amphitheaters. It was a circular building which did not have a roof, and a rows of seats were there with that were raised into steps, and all that you can see it in that picture which is shown here. There is an evidence to believe that when the Romans were there in England, they had established vast amphitheaters for the production of plays. But as they went from England, also with them went the theatre, and after them there were minstrels. Minstrels are the singers who perform along with the music, and they usually sing heroic poetry. People used to enjoy their performances. Gradually, by the 10th century, the ritual of the plays had also started, and some dramatic effect was also given along with the rudiments, that is, along with the basic subject the plays were performed. Now, as we have seen that in the 10th century itself, the style of plays or performing plays had already started. The plays had a particular subject. Now, in the medieval period, which is from 11th to 15th century, it was during the reign of Henry VI. So, this particular period, the type of plays that were performed during this period were didactic plays, which means that the design of the play was such that it was a moral based plays. It used to teach something. The plays were of that kind. Also there were the plays of mystery or miracle. So mystery plays were there. Then cycle and morality plays, again they had moral with the drama or the plays. So in such way, the medieval period was the period when they had the plays which had a certain moral based on it. Now, as we are talking about the medieval period, it lasted from 11th to 15th century. So in between, in the 13th to 14th century, we have seen that the themes of those plays were separated from the religion. Previously, we had seen that the dramas were based on religion, so they were separated from religion, and actually the words were spoken in English, and there was a longer dramatic script that was used during these plays, and this all was done. It was converted, the religious plays and all that were converted to miracle plays, and these were also called as morality plays. In these, the characters were abstract, and they represented vices and virtues, that is the good and the evil was shown in these plays. These were also called as allegories. Now allegories, we all know that a character is shown as good, as truth, as evil, and as also as death. Elizabethan and Restoration Theatre. Now the type of plays had changed during this reign, the reign of Elizabeth I and James I. It was during the 1600 century to 1700 century. There was a lot of change in the theatre. The rulers had imposed at this point of time that the drama will be based on the themes of education, general moral problems, and secular politics. That is the religious politics. They had nothing to do directly with religion. And there are the examples during this period, there are the examples of comedy and tragedy plays. Now here is the picture of Elizabethan theatre, which was much different than the previous medieval period theatres. A lot of change was brought about in playwriting during this era. Thomas Kidd, Christopher Marlowe, and William Shakespeare were the prime dramatists of this century. The styles of writing of all three of them was quite different. Kidd had discovered that converting the blank verse into theatrical medium is quite easy, and also very useful. So of this quality, Shakespeare had made use of this style of writing in his plays. Now tragedy had developed a lot in the hands of Thomas Kidd. Marlowe was quite brilliant in writing comedies, and he had proceeded beyond the normal humor, that is rural humor comedy. And in the 90s, that is late 16th century, the theatre in England had established a complicated conditions. The theatre was in complicated situations because the activities of the dramatists, they were governed by the ruling authorities or the rulers of that time. Let's see how was the theatre in the 16th century. The public theatre of the 16th century, it was different in many important ways from that of the modern theatre. It was just an open sky without any artificial lighting, and the stage was just a raised platform with a recess, that is a wall at the back which was supported by the pillars, and also there was no curtain to the main platform, and it was surrounded from all the three sides by the audience. Also there were raised galleries, and people used to sit there and watch the drama. In the 17th century, the enclosed theatres, that is the theatres like what we have now, it gained importance. As the theatre became private, there was an increasing attention to scenic device. Shakespeare also belonged to 16th century era, so he, by manipulating the Elizabethan stage and with a great resource, he did a lot of resources and he manipulated, because at that time there were many restrictions imposed on the dramatist, so he made a lot of changes, he manipulated, and he wrote in a contemporary style of writing in the 16th century, and that is what the genius of Shakespeare is called at that particular time, where he discovered this style of writing. Also during his time, contemporary to him, that is along with him, Ben Jonson was also the classic classicist, a moralist and a reformer of drama, which belonged to the Shakespearean era. Let's see what type of dramas were written during the 1600 to 1700 century. The style of writing during this century was tragic and comedy, melancholy, that is a feeling of sadness kind of dramas, or revenge plays were written and performed. The examples of these dramas are Romeo and Juliet, which was a tragedy drama, A Midsummer's Night Dream, which is a comedy drama, then Henry IV by Shakespeare, it was written, Dr. Faustus, and A Jewel of Malta by Christopher Marlowe, Duchess of Malfi, John Webster. All these kind of different styles of writing came into invent during the period, Renaissance period of 1600 to 1700 century. As we have seen that the type of writing of dramas had changed in the 16th century. Also the comedy plays were written during that time. Johnson was one of the genius of this particular era, and many of the dramatists of the Restoration period followed him. But during the 1642, there was a lot of change, and the Puritans, that is the people belonging to church, they had closed the theatres, and it was a greatest of all the periods in the history of English drama that had come to an end. So with the civil wars, no theatres existed between 1642 to 1660. Then the next phase of the English drama began. This is also called as the Restoration period, and in this Restoration period, different kind of dramatic literature had developed. The dramatists that were leading at that time were Chapman, Thomas Middleton, Webster and Dekker. They were in the forefront, and they had established their style of writing in Restoration period. After the Civil War, when Charles II came back with Restoration of 1660, the theatres were reopened. As they were closed before, they were reopened. And when there was an excellent Restoration comedy dramas during this period. The drama had developed this time into two classes, that is class drama and upper class drama ethos, that is specially for royal family. The dramas were shown. All this drama lasted till the period of 18th century, first decade of the 18th century. Now the comedy in the early 18th century declined into sentimentalism, means they were more into sentimental comedies, and it also were known as the comedy of manners. George Ethering was more important supporter of comedy, of sentimentalism, but this style of drama was rescued by Oliver Goldsmith and Richard Sheridan. Richard Sheridan had a brilliant style of writing, and he had brought dialogues back into drama, into comedy, and this he had done it in a very friendly way. The characters that he placed in his drama were firm, and he had placed them with clarity, because Sheridan's had new interpretation style of human nature. So his style of writing was more near to Oliver Wilde than compared to Johnson. With this, we have come to an end of Renaissance period and Restoration period. In the next video, we will be studying Victorian period, modern period, and postmodern era. Meet you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.